Good morning, dear students. Right in the middle of the examination, I had to start this session for integrated business solutions for CA Final New. Those of you who are writing examination in November 23 attempt, please you can leave the live session and you can come back at an appropriate time. I wish you don't have to go back and write the May 24 examination. An important announcement for those of you who are writing in May 24 or beyond. So, Institute has released about 8 case studies for paper 6, which is your integrated business solution with strategic management. Now if I look at the case studies, what it looks like is it is a mix of all the 5 subjects that you are learning. So you'll have things around FR, SFM, you'll have things around audit, sometimes you'll have things around ethics, you will have things around DT and IDT, all put together. Everything has been combined and packaged as a single case study or as a single case study where you are expected to answer certain objective type questions and also certain descriptive questions. Right now, as we have been telling earlier also, we at Indigo Learn will also be soon launching classes on handling case studies with all our faculties who teach at CA final level, and announcement regarding that will happen in due course. So what I'll do is I'll just go through one of the case studies that has been released by ICI, just to give you a feel and sense of what can we expect in this new paper 6, which is integrated business solution. Now if you ask me personally, I have had the experience of writing case study based papers in SEMA, when I completed my SEMA in the final level, that we say strategic case study level, where theories and concepts of everything is combined and given as case studies. I also have written case studies for few institutes in UK. I also have written case studies for ICI in their strategic cost management paper, right? So that gives me a lot of experience on how to handle these type of case studies question. So let's just quickly have a look at the first case study, which has been released by ICI. CAM, a flourishing practice spanning in areas of auditing and taxation, both direct as well as indirect, and just a second, and consultancy, particularly in foreign exchange laws in Chennai. So there is a practicing CA. Clients include many high net worth individuals apart from corporates and non-corporates. One day, one of his HNI clients called him to inquire about tweaking of certain rules pertaining to taxation on redemption of mutual fund investment. So, one HNI client has reached out saying there are some rules which have changed for redemption of mutual fund. Now, here you will need knowledge of taxation, you will need knowledge of SFM or AFM as they call it. He had heard that redemption for certain types of mutual funds investments is now going to attract increased income tax payout. So that is the concern. He also heard the news of the same on BTBC news channel but was unable to comprehend it lucidly. Now if you look at the language is higher level of English here. Things like lucidly, and subsequently you will see the discussions and all that are also slightly on the higher side. There was no clarity to him whether changes have been made in income tax laws or in rules framed by SEBI. So here you need the knowledge of economic laws as well. Really consultancy and AMFI. Now what is AMFI? Association of Mutual Fund in India, distributors in India, registered mutual fund distributor through which mutual fund investments were made, was continuously forwarding messages received from AMFI, Association of Mutual Funds in India, to his mobile. So there is one consultancy who is sending continuous messages. These messages were at the best cryptic. Now what is the meaning of cryptic? Cryptic is something which you cannot understand, and required investors to be in touch with their chartered accountants and tax consultant. So some context there as well. Mr. P had an impressive investment portfolio of around 50 crores. That's why we call them high net worth individuals. And any changes in income tax payouts pertaining to it would affect the ROI adversely. Under stress, he sought for an immediate appointment with CAM. So CAM is our chartered accountant here. Armed with summary of investment made in mutual fund, he came to CA's office and sought his much needed advice. The summary of mutual fund and investments on 31st March looked as under: MTL, low duration fund, short term fund; BON India, low duration fund; New Green Energy Fund, and arbitrage fund. Date of investment have been given and amount invested is also given. Besides, he had also invested 5 lakhs in a liquid fund. Since the amount invested was small, he was not bothered about the same. He informed to CAM that funds stated at 1 and 2 are debt funds. So these two are debt funds. And at 3 and 4 are equity funds. He further informs that these debt funds have invested 30% of their proceeds in equity shares of domestic companies, and equity funds have invested 70% of their proceeds in equity shares of domestic companies. Now this, you can go back and see equity oriented fund and all of those things. That is where you can use the definition, right? He was planning to redeem his entire mutual fund investment portfolio in the month of October 23, depending upon the suitable marketing conditions. Their discussions also veered. Now see the language being used. Veered means it is going towards returns from debt fund. Debt funds invest predominantly in government and high graded corporate bonds. P was of the view that interest rate in economy are likely to go up in few months, keeping in view broad macroeconomic indicators. Now, if you relate this with the concept what you learn in AFM, if interest rate go up, if interest rate increase, what will happen to the value of bonds? The value of bonds will go down, right? So everywhere, whatever we are learning and whatever we are reading it out here, what we need to understand or what we need to ensure is we should connect it back. We should connect it back to the respective subject. So far it was about taxation. Now we have discussed about interest rates. So thing that should trigger in your mind is what will happen if the interest rates go up, right? Then the discussion stretched a bit and it came out that he had plans to buy a villa in Goa. Okay, so mutual fund investments he will redeem, now he'll buy in villa in Goa. He is already 65 and wants to spend quality time in scenic beauty of Goa. In fact, it transpires a lot of extra English usage here. Okay, it transpires means it appears that he is going to make an advance payment of 1 crore to a owner of villa, an Indian citizen who is a non-resident. So there is a payment to a non-resident. The non-resident owner of villa had acquired this ancestral property through registered will of his late father. Now there is a transmission. So capital gains should trigger your mind. And also because you are making payments, those payments will also attract TDS. So that part also you have to consider. The consideration to be paid to Christopher amounts to 5 crores, including advance payment of 1 crore. In fact, it is also one of the reasons for planned redemption of mutual fund investment in current financial year. He inquires from CAM regarding any precautions to be taken, legal requirements to be complied at the time of entering such transaction. So what will happen? Taxation compliance, what is to be done? TDS is to be deducted. Even when you pay to a resident, when you buy property, you have to deduct TDS, right? Then you also need to see what will happen for mutual fund gains. Okay, now, and also remember, if you have a long-term gain and if you are investing in, let us say, a property, then what kind of exemption you get. So that also aspect you have to consider. Section 54 series. So everything combined, income tax, advanced financial management, and you're giving some consultancy services or consultancy advice, right? Foreign exchange related transactions, TDS on non-resident, all of these things are combined into a single case study. Other case studies also which I have seen, you have things from FR, then you have things on custom duty. So everything coming together, and that is what makes the scenario pretty complicated. Okay. Mr. P also discussed the matter with the said Mr. Christopher over phone, who happens to be in India for a short visit. He also inquires from CAM regarding investment avenues, if any available, to non-residents, like purchase of other house, investment in NHI bonds under taxation laws to save capital gains. So here we are hinting towards what? Section 54 series. Is there any deduction which is available? Because he is selling a land, a villa. Now by selling that villa, if he invests somewhere else, can he get some kind of benefit? So that is also given here. It also transpires that this word has been used twice. Okay, so these are high level English again. India does not have any DTAA with the country of which Mr. Christopher is a resident. So here international taxation also comes into picture. It doesn't have any double taxation avoidance agreement with the country in which Mr. Christopher is a resident. Mr. Christopher plans to repatriate proposed sale proceeds of villa to the country in which he is resident. He does not know about the modalities of the same and inquires from CM in this matter. So, a lot of things. Now, here if you see, they have given question, multiple choice question. Case study is pretty good, pretty interesting. Now, let's see the question. Mr. P has invested 10 crores in arbitrage fund. Which one of the following is most appropriate about arbitrage fund? Now, here it is a theoretical question. It has nothing to do with the case study. What is the theoretical question here? It is an arbitrage fund. Which of the following 4 options will suit that? Okay, answers and all we can come to it later. I am more trying to give you a overview of how the questions are looking like in this particular case study. Then, Mr. P is of the view that interest rates in the economy are likely to rise. What likely impact will it have on the NAV of the debt fund? Now, as I told you, interest rises. If interest increases, the value of the bond will fall. Right. Then, as regards to proposed purchase of villa in Goa from Mr. Christopher, which of the following statement is likely to be correct as regards to deduction of tax at source? So now here, TDS provisions. That is one more thing. You have to take it from income tax. Then on savings on NHI, will you get any savings? Right. So that is the next question. They want to repatriate from sale of proceeds of villa. Now how they can repatriate? Now this you have to understand under FEMA regulations, right? How much can be repatriated? LRS, what is the limit? So your optional, the self-paced online modules, they also become very, very important. And please remember, these type of case studies, when they are being tested, you need the knowledge of both the groups. You can't say that I know group 1, I've passed group 1 last year, I'm writing group 2 this year. Again, there also you will need group 1 knowledge. So that way this has become, or this will turn out to be, a pretty tricky situation. Then descriptive. So describe the manner of taxation and rates, what further advice should be offered. They want to invest in MTL low duration fund. What are the tax implications on redemption, right? Christopher is a non-resident. Examine the validity of transaction with respect to FEMA. Now, if you see this question, what all has been tested? You have been tested around income tax, which comes in group 2, advanced financial management, group 1, and economic laws, corporate and economic laws, which is your self-paced online module, which is a part of group 1. So, to answer this type of questions, to answer this type of case study based questions, you need both group 1 as well as group 2 knowledge. You can't say that I have read it in the previous attempt, I have passed the previous attempt. Even then, basic knowledge is required, right? So that was an overview. We can have a look at the remaining case studies as given in the institute's material. We'll have to approach it in a structured way. We'll need to have knowledge of all the subjects. We need to apply our mind, and these are the types of questions which are being asked. Some questions are direct. So if you remember the concepts, if you remember the theory, it becomes very, very easy and very, very scoring subject as well. But in case if you have forgotten something, then especially taxation laws and all, which keeps on changing, you clear let's say group 2 in one attempt, and subsequently you come back in after 2 attempts, taxation laws would have changed. So that is where it becomes slightly more trickier. I expect institute to give some more guidelines as to what are the topics which are likely to be tested. Otherwise, it can be a really, really tricky situation to handle this integrated business solution. That's all from me at this point in time. As and when we get more update, we'll definitely be sharing those with you. Thanks for joining in, and have a nice day.